right, we'll call the meeting to order. If you would, please stand for the prayer, pledge allegiance, please.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this new year that you've given us, and we thank you for this opportunity to serve our community. Father, we just pray that you'll be with us tonight, that you'll guide our discussions and our decisions. Father, we pray for those that are sick and unable to be here. We thank you for those that are here, whether by choice or by obligation. We're glad that they're here. Father, we pray that you look over our military as they're entering some tough times, as it appears. Pray for those that are sick and those that we've lost. Pray these things in your Son's holy name. Amen.
Amen. Chief Etheridge, you lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief. Roll call, everyone is present, but Alderman Coleman is out of town. So I need a motion to approve the minutes of last month's meeting.
Move approved.
Motion made by Alderman Langford,
Second.
second by Alderman, Vice Mayor Ken Dodson. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion passed. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? I have one, sent in by our, by Joel, corrected budget ordinance. Needs to be added, and that'll be item number 11. Is there any other new additions or deletions? If not, need a motion to accept that addition.
So moved.
Motion made by Ken Dodson, second by Alderman Dale. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Joel Parks, that's what I was trying to remember. Got his name there. So that we add corrected budget ordinance. As number 11 on the agenda, it's recommended by Joel Parks. Okay, don't have any old business under new business. Item number 1, Warren Nevad, University of Tennessee Municipal Technical Advisory Service. Warren?
Thank you, Mayor.
You'll have to push your button, Warren.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. I'm here to bring good news tonight. Last month, the Tennessee Renewable Energy and Economic Development Council, a statewide network of 108 mayors founded by the University of Tennessee, presented Mayor Hayes in the city of Livingston for Community Excellence Award. Over the past 8-10 years, the city has made significant progress. It started with putting in the water line down Hillham Road. We had the visioning process with the Chamber of Commerce. Out of that came the branding effort and the Americana Folk Festival, the park, the splash pad, the police training. We only awarded 3 cities, and they were Cookeville, Bolivar, and Livingston. And Mayor Hayes, we ask that you accept our award.
Sure will. Thank you, Warren. Can we get a picture of the board members here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that okay? Is that okay with everybody? All right, just come out front.
It shows proof I was here.
Yeah. Let's see here. Phyllis, you got your phone? Okay. Ashley, can you take a picture? We'll just do it right over here. Another picture. Thank you. Okay. Just in on the other side.
Her mom wants me to see her. 1, 2, 3.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Get one without flag. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Warren, you can stay or you can head back to Knoxville.
Just give me a call if you need me, Mayor.
Okay, item number 2 is downtown revitalization. Mr. Ray Evans.
Mayor, I'm going to ask Shannon Cantrell to give a brief update on the Main Street application, and then I'll continue with the other items from
Yes, sir.
the Revitalization Committee.
Thank you.
Greg and I met with Nancy Williams and Bridget Jones with the Department of Economic and Community Development over the holidays about Livingston becoming a Main Street community. They went over this application with us to make sure that we understood exactly what we needed to do to begin this process. And Greg and I have discussed a basic timeline. We're working on our letter of intent right now, and in the coming weeks we'll be going through this application. We may be asking some of the community members, some of the businesses to write letters for us throughout this process, so we may be approaching some of you. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that, and I will be reporting to y'all as this process continues so that y'all will have an idea of when it will be completed, and we are very looking forward to getting this project underway.
Thank you, Ms. Cantrell.
You're welcome.
Any questions from Ms. Cantrell? Okay, thank you. Mr. Evans?
So you have before you a couple of resolutions, and the second resolution is actually related to Mrs. Cantrell's report. The first resolution is a resolution requesting that the United States Postal Service adequately and properly maintain the Livingston Post Office. We've had numerous folks in the community express to us their sadness in how the post office has been maintained over the past many years. We've got rusted rails and peeling paint and such. Julia Bishop made a pretty intense effort in communicating with the postmaster over a 3 or 4 month period a few months ago, trying to encourage them to do maintenance on the exterior of the building. To this point, the only thing that's happened is that the flagpole got painted, and apparently the postmaster didn't even know that that crew was coming to paint the flagpole. So the Downtown Revitalization Committee has prepared a resolution that's asking this board to authorize the mayor to communicate with the Postal Service. And I would be happy to read the resolution or just leave it at that, and say that in passing this, you would direct the mayor to communicate with the appropriate parties at the Postal Service, expressing the community's concern for the lack of exterior maintenance on the post office, and asking the Postal Service to take appropriate and timely actions to resolve the issue, and further direct the mayor to communicate said concerns with the members of the Tennessee Congressional Delegation. So the Downtown Revitalization Committee would ask that this body take action on this resolution, and then Mayor, I think you may have some update on some communication you've had recently as well.
Yeah, I've talked since this, before this came out. I wanted to make sure that I talked to the postmaster so he knew that we still want to be good neighbors with folks. And so after talking with him, a work order has been turned in to his supervisor, which is in North Carolina. So we think progress is already made, as far as the process of renovating the exterior part of the post office, okay? So, but this right here certainly don't hurt, to go ahead and pass that. They know this is coming. In fact, they said go ahead and continue with that and get us a copy of it, and we have reached out to Congressman Rhodes' office. He's very much aware of this. We filled out proper paperwork for his office and gave him a copy of this resolution as well. So that's where we are. But we need to continue on. We don't need to sit idle here. So I think this is the correct thing to do. Is there any questions on this resolution? I believe everyone's had an opportunity to read it, and I do think it is important. As much money as we've invested in downtown Livingston, that everybody be a partner of it. And they was as many grants for facades that we gave out. They have certainly could have been a part of that and requested an application and just haven't done it. So the folks at the post office here locally is certainly on board and want to do their part to make downtown even more attractive. So if there's not any questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Saying and doing are two different things, so I make a motion to approve this and make the law get started.
Motion made by Alderman Speck,
This is just a request, right?
there's a second by Vice Mayor Ken Dotson in answer your question, Alderman Langford, yes. So there's a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion?
The only thing on the discussion part is, and I don't know why we're really adopting this procedure. You've already contacted the post and went through the appropriate, you're the mayor, that's your, position to do, and any of us can contact, as a citizen, and myself, as a citizen, with North Carolina, I'm aware of there, I'm aware of DC. One thing on that post office is ADA handicap accessible. And they have said that because of it being national registered, they can't. Yes, they can. In the research so far, Pickett County Courthouse is a national registered site. They have a wheelchair handicap accessible. Our local courthouse does. So what I'm giving the response back from Washington, they're checking into it. The next stage that me as a citizen, not on this board actually, but as a citizen too, is to request that they get somebody down here. I am seeing too many people go up down these steps trying to with walkers and canes and stuff. That is not right. Now, there is a ramp in the back, and there was 2 handicap places back there. But since they put up the fence, locking that security, locking the parking area, the signs are gone from there, and there's no parking back there for that ramp now. So I don't know if you've got any connections, and if this is going to emphasize just on the cosmetic part, but that might be something avenue to go down besides just the cosmetic part.
Absolutely. We'll look at that, Ron.
Well, let me a quick response. Alderman Dishman, we've heard, whether it's true or not, that one of the reasons they were concerned about pushing the maintenance is that they would have to come into ADA compliance just to do the maintenance. And we don't think that's the case at all. So this is sort of step one in the process. Get the maintenance done. We specifically didn't mention ADA in this one, just to separate the two. But without question, there could be a ramp in that, a very tastefully done ramp in that front entrance at some time in the future.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any more discussion? Roll call vote, Ms. Phillips.
Alderman Speck,
Yes.
Alderman Dale,
Yes.
Alderman Langford,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dotson,
Yes.
Alderman Dishman,
Yes.
motion passed.
Motion passed. Mr. Evans?
The second resolution that you have before you tonight is a resolution modifying the membership structure of the Livingston Downtown Revitalization Committee. And as Shannon reported to you, we're making progress with our Main Street application. One of the things that's required in the Main Street program is that there be a board of directors as part of being a Main Street community. And so we decided that it's probably a good time that we start a transition from what we've been, just the Downtown Revitalization Committee, to a board that's beginning to look more like a Tennessee Main Street board. And those boards are, by definition, much broader as far as reaching out into the community, reaching out into other experts, not just those folks that are concerned with the Central Business District and downtown, not just those folks who live or have a business there, but reaching out to experts around the community and even outside the community. So what we have suggested here is a restructuring of the Downtown Revitalization Committee such that the committee would consist of 9 members, at least 8 of whom are residents of the city of Livingston. And the reason that we left an option that one would not necessarily have to be a member a resident of the city of Livingston is that we could have need for some outside expertise from Cookville, from Nashville, wherever. Might be one of our engineering firms that we deal with, often someone from there, or an advanced expert from Cookville somewhere that we could use on the committee. So it's not a necessity that one of the members not be a resident, but at least it gives you the flexibility of that case. Also, that members would come from a mix of the following groups: commercial district property owners, retailers, professionals and other business owners, lenders, city and county government officials, business association members, head of neighborhood associations, recognized community leaders and local civic organizations, preservation and historical societies, and other interested citizens. And those words are generally taken out of the handbook for a board associated with Main Street. That the individual members would be recommended for membership by the mayor and confirmed by the board of mayor and aldermen. And we respectfully ask that you approve this resolution.
Thank you, Ray. Any questions from Mr. Evans? If not, entertain a motion to accept this resolution.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Alderman Dale, second by Alderman Speck. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Ms. Phillips.
Alderman Watson,
Yes.
Alderman Brown,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dotson,
Yes.
Alderman Dishman,
Yes.
Alderman Speck,
Yes.
motion passed.
Motion passed.
With that passage of that resolution, the committee offers the following changes in the members of the committee, in that Mark Dudley from the Development District and Shannon Temple from the Chamber would roll off of the committee and be replaced by Gene Gant and by Todd Matthews. We have discussed those names with the mayor, and we recommend those names to you as new members of the Livingston Downtown Revitalization Committee.
Thank you, Ray. Any questions for Mr. Evans? If not, we entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the names.
Motion made by Alderman Chris Speck,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor Dodson. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed.
A quick update on our sales tax revenue projects. You may have seen the efforts of Arno Proctor and his team working on the clock on the square. There's 2 new motors in there. There's new glass on the front. I think there was some new lighting in there that didn't work quite well, so there's some new lighting additional new lighting that's been ordered. The clock works as perfectly as a clock can work going eastbound, but if you're looking westbound, the clock's hanging up some, so they're about to work on that and see. There's 2 motors in there, so they work independently of each other. And so we're making progress, Alderman Dishman. It's working in one direction, and that's a significant change over what it's been for some time. Secondly, our rail project along North Church Street from Speck Funeral Home up toward Broad. We have reached out to the CTAS folks, to the welding department there, and they have agreed as a project of the school to fabricate those rails. We'll pay for and provide the steel. They'll do the work, and then city staff will install those. We think that they'll probably get started on those fabrications maybe in February. We'll report back to you at February meeting if that's the case. Lastly, I have had on this agenda for at least 4 meetings, changes in the rental policies for certain areas of Central Park. We have those before you tonight. The first one that I would bring up to you is the renting of the Rotary Main Stage, and we have offered to you certain changes in that the rental rate would be not $200 per day, but $200 for the first 4 hours, and then 50 cents per hour thereafter. Not to
$50.
Pardon?
$50.
What did I say?
50 cents. You said 50 cents.
Is that not okay? $50, 50 cents per minute there. $50 per hour thereafter, not to exceed a total of 8 hours. And we would ask that the purpose of this is that in a couple of cases we realize that in hindsight that probably the fees weren't high enough, as high as they should have been for what we're offering, and for what it's costing the city to provide certain city services during those performances. So we would ask, and if you want to, I can read both of these, and we can take them as a single motion. We do them one at a time, whichever you prefer.
Everyone's had an opportunity to look over this. Is there any questions? Mr. Evans?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
It says it also includes non-profit, so they'll have to pay also, right?
Yeah, and that's not a change, that's the wording that you have already heard.
Right,
Yeah.
I understand that, but, if the VFW or something wanted to use our stage down there, they couldn't do it.
No, well, they can do it.
Shriners couldn't do it, rescue squad, nobody
If
could
they
do
want
it.
to pay the fee, they can use it.
Fellas, I'm gonna tell you something. The non-profit organizations such as the VFW, Shriners, Rescue Squad, that type of thing, I don't think we'll charge. And also, it says here, religious groups and everything, if somebody wants to come down there and use our place for a revival or whatever, I'm not gonna charge them. That's just my opinion. If somebody wants to come down there and throw a party, charge their ears off of it. But no, when it comes to, people that's actually helping the community, going out of their way, helping the community, I'm not gonna charge.
Ray, every event that's been held down there, so first in Central Park, so in the old fees, we've collected fees from every event's been held in there, in the organization. There's receipts and collected fees, is that correct? Can be a county, correct?
I can't tell you that it's been 100% every event, because I don't know that, but if not, it's very close to 100%.
That question brought up because I'm like Langford, if we've got volunteer organizations and nonprofit, and we've got church groups, that if they wanna have an event that's non-ticketed and non-charged, I can't see charging. That Central Park was built from grant money from labor from city workers. And I realize we gotta have control of it. But there's just an avenue there that, so sometimes you go down the wrong street with it. And I think we need to relook at it, or y'all do, and maybe reevaluate some of this, right? I really am concerned with that. It was brought to my attention, and the reason why I asked it, if every organization in every event that had been held had paid for the rental of the sound system, sound equipment, stage and all that, since we had City Park, the person, matter of fact, in more than one, said, can a receipt be shown and proof that everything was collected? And I said, I can't tell you that. I'm like you, I could not.
Yeah, I can tell you.
And it
The
was?
answer is yes. And
Okay,
they pay it out here, and we run it through our books.
okay.
All of our books is always
So
on.
any event, okay.
Absolutely.
With the exception, Ronald, of the free events that we authorized here as a body, those, you can't say every event and then not recall that we authorized some free concert events specifically because of that.
Correct, the free ones that we voted on.
Yeah.
Voted,
Would be included in the word every.
okay.
Right, and also, I just, the board can certainly vote however they want to vote, but just a reminder, that we have a sound engineer, that we do pay for. That way, we have one person that is in charge of the equipment, and we have about $50,000-$60,000 worth of equipment. Also, we have city employees that come in and clean the place up, make sure the bathrooms are in good shape, and make sure all the garbage are collected. So the fees, what we are seeing is almost just a wash, where the city services are kicked in now. Like I said, the board is in charge and they can vote any way they want to do it. But I just wanted to make sure that we understood that is where the fees are going. They're not just going, in the city coffers so we can be making money, okay? So those things, kind of help aid, in, helping run Central Park. So I just thought that needed to be done. You have anything else, Ray?
No, sir.
I
Okay.
have a question on that.
Yes.
Can we add a clause to be able to waive certain situations, like VFW, rescue squad, something like that, they can bring it to us and say, hey, we wanna do it, and can the board then waive the fee for them?
Well, once this is passed, Rex, we haven't had a situation that every time someone wants to use Central Park, that they come before this board, okay? Regardless who it is, again, the board's in charge here, okay? But regardless who it is, we still have to clean up the park. We still have to clean the bathrooms. And we
Regardless
still,
whatever, Mayor, we're gonna have to pay the employees anyway.
yeah, that,
So, we're just giving them a job, they're not gonna make a bit more money.
well, this offsets the city. Like I said, the board can do what they want to do, but I just thought it was important to simply say the facts.
I will say that the committee's had these very same discussions about not-for-profits and religious groups and such. And it was our, I think, unanimous opinion that the only way to have a level playing field is to treat everybody equal, not to have to be discretionary about what's a nonprofit, what's not a nonprofit, what's religious, what's not religious, and just treat everyone exactly the same. And that's why we brought it to you back in, gosh, I don't know, that language has been in there for over a year, yeah, well over a year.
Motion to accept the recommended changes by Mr. Evans.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Ken Dodson,
Second.
second by Alderman Speck. Is there any discussion? Roll call vote, Ms. Phillips.
Alderman Langford,
No.
Vice Mayor Dotson,
Yes.
Alderman Houston,
No.
Alderman Speck,
Yes.
Alderman Dale,
Yes.
motion passed.
Motion passed. Thank you, Mr. Evans. Item number 3, Center Point Energy, Mr. Alan Lingerfeld.
Thank you, Mayor, Alderman, appreciate the opportunity to give you a natural gas update. Last time I was here, we talked about the East Tennessee Natural Gas Pipeline had a force majeure on where the 31 line was shut in about 80%. Since then, good news is they've got it back in operation as of the end of November. Along those lines, we had a cold November, so everybody was kind of on pins and needles during that time period. So, but gas flowed, everything seemed to be fine. Didn't really see any problems getting gas to Livingston. So, just along those lines, the pipeline, as y'all aware, was built in the late 40s, early 50s, and they're gonna have continued maintenance investigations on that old system, especially the pieces of pipe that ruptured back in December of last year. So we're gonna continue to see more and more maintenance notices. I looked actually this morning before I came down here, and they've not posted any of the 2020 maintenance schedules. All of them are to be determined at this point. I'll give you an update on one that indirectly affects Livingston. If you've ever seen the East Tennessee pipeline map, the south line, which is the 3200 line that connects to Tennessee gas pipeline at Lobelville, that particular piece of pipe is shut in, but, you know, we're redirecting gas to other customers on that line a different way. I'm saying that just to let you know there's continued maintenance on East Tennessee that affects gas flow to different parts of the pipe. Everything restricted on the 3200 line to you know, along to Chattanooga to Knoxville, and even past topside of Knoxville east has been restricted for the past several days, and anticipate that to be restricted for several more days. It's probably a good thing that we've not seen the coldest day of the year right now. Normally the 6th of January, the 7th of January has that potential, especially looking at the past 5 years. So, some good notes to discuss. We're going to keep on top of that. Shouldn't have a problem. Just want to make you aware that there's just continued maintenance that East Tennessee has on the timeline. November was another good November for Livingston. You guys usually, your 3 or 4 year average is about 18,000 decatherms a month. This past November, you burned 29,000 decatherms. So that's very comparable to your last November, which was a good November. Well, November usually doesn't show up in winter prior to last year. December is a little bit different story. Started warming up there at the end of the month. Still came in pretty good at 32,000. Last December was about 35,000, so relatively close to last year. So the first 2 months of winter for Livingston's in really good shape. Going forward, January, you've seen it today, it was a beautiful January day, unseasonably warm. So the 10 to 15 day weather forecast is warm. I think we're supposed to get into the upper 50s and lower 60s, maybe even in the high 60s a couple of days over the next 15 days. That doesn't help gas sales. It does help your customers' bills, that's for sure. Looking forward, past January, we get a frontier weather outlook that is fairly good for 11 to 15 days out and 15 to 30 days out. Right now, they're looking at February to be cooler, not colder, but cooler, more like average temperatures. So that means winter may end up showing up February, March. I know everybody's concerned with budget, things, revenue coming in, so we all are cognizant of that, trying to make sure everybody burns all the gas they need to burn to make the budget. So,
Alan, with some of these, it's my understanding we've had some troops that's been deployed, and anytime we're in the war or talk about war, it seems like over the past, gas prices have kind of went up, both gasoline and natural gas. Are you seeing a fear in that? Or?
we already saw a jump at the gasoline pumps.
Okay.
Maybe roughly, 20, 25 cents.
Mm-hmm.
The Middle East is probably going to change gasoline prices quicker than natural gas prices. And I'll give you the example of, over the past 3 years, fracking, and you all heard that word, good or bad, however, what opinion everybody has on it, fracking has made this country independent of the Middle East and other nations as far as natural gas. Natural gas is being exported to other countries. Those people that buy natural gas on an index that's related to crude oil is going to pay the price, but our natural gas is not. It kind of separated itself from crude oil a few years ago during that independence separation. So to answer your question, I don't see anything short term. Now, anything can happen long term if something really devastating happens, I'm sure. But short term, I think probably weather is going to drive our price of natural gas more so than anything that's going on overseas. So now, if oil fields and natural gas oil fields get shut in, Qatar is in that neighborhood over there. They're a major natural gas provider to the world. The United States has such a supply of natural gas right now that they've got an ample supply to fill any small gap in the world supply right now. So it comes down to, if our weather turns cold, extremely cold, and eats up a lot of that supply with demand, then it could cause prices to fluctuate and go up. But I think right now, short term, when I say short term, 3 months to summer to maybe going into October, it's really going to be heavily dependent on the United States demand, and that could be cooling demand in the summer and heating demand in the winter. So there's a lot of power generation being provided through natural gas right now, but there's a lot of supply on the market right now. So gas prices are really in a holding pattern to see if winter's going to show up. And if winter doesn't show up, gas is going to get cheaper. It doesn't have a home right now to go. Storage in the country right now, not a lot of storage getting pulled out of the ground in our current situation of weather. And you gotta kind of look at, if you know, Tennessee is our focus, but you gotta kind of look at where the population is, from New York to Illinois or Chicago to New York City. That's where the major population is, and that's, you know, they burn more gas probably in that region than they do a lot of the other parts of the country. So when that weather moves into that area, that's when the residential demand is going to kick in, and that's when you get to see a blip in prices a little bit. But right now, there's a lot of supply on the market, not a lot of demand because of the weather. Industrial demand is strong, power generation demand is strong up to a degree because they're not having to hit cold peak days right now either. So for the foreseeable future, unless something else happens geopolitically across the world, we shouldn't see anything major. So, it's a positive situation. We just need enough cold weather for Livingston to burn gas to make your budgets and things of that nature for the rest of the year.
Right. Now, thank you so much. Is there any questions for Mr. Baker? All right, job well done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Have a safe trip back.
Yes, sir. Appreciate your time.
All right, item number 4, UCMC, Mr. Ben Winningham has been here.
I've been back. Mayor Hayes, Aldermen, ladies and gentlemen, just a quick update on the LED lighting project. Everything's going great. We have finished Winter Road, Highway 85,
That's good.
and we have started around the bypass. We're up to Greenfield Drive, starting from Vaughn's Collision and coming this way. The problem we run into over the holidays is we had to shut down for a couple of weeks because TDOT did not want us set up on their right of way over the holidays. So we lost about 2.5, 3 weeks there. A couple of weather days threw in there. We're still working on it, I promise. I do want to say a special thank you to Chief Etheridge and his crew, Livingston Police Department. They've been real good to us about traffic control. Of course, where we're set up now on the bypass, we really don't need to be set up before 8:30 because of traffic. And so that and we need to be off the road 1:32 because of the traffic. So it's kind of narrowing down our work times. However, we're still picking right along. I do not have a finish date for you. I wish I did, but this time of year, I'd be scared to death too.
Now, Ben, I've seen the lights, they really look good, make a difference here in our community, so.
Gotcha.
Appreciate it. Anybody got any questions for Mr. Winningham?
Once the bypass is completed, is that it? Is that the last
No,
leg?
when we come around the bypass, we're gonna hit West Main and head out towards Huddle House. Then we'll be done.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Any more questions?
Like the mayor said, it really makes a difference. It really
Yeah, we're hearing a lot of positive feedback from the community,
Right.
and everything's going great on our end, so,
You can see a long way.
Sure can.
yeah. We just need a little more time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Item number 5 is appoint Ray Evans to the Property Maintenance Board to replace Mr. Randall Lawson. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Ken Dodson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Chris Speck. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Ms. Phillips?
Vice Mayor Dodson,
Yes.
Alderman Houston,
Yes.
Alderman Speck,
Yes.
Alderman Dale,
Yes.
Alderman Langford,
No.
Motion passed. Item number 6, John Meadows, ordinance 2020-1-1111. I think we've had some amendments to this that just came in today. You can have one call for addition, please. Kenny? Go ahead, John.
This is an ordinance to amend a few sections of Title 13, Section 13-102. That's the ordinance and part of the code that deals with overgrown and dirty lots. I was requested by the Property Maintenance Board to look into further expanding, for purposes of clarification, the definition of debris, trash, junk, rubbish, things of that nature. So the only amendment that's being made, if you'll look, we've added Section 2 there that deals with expanding the definition of debris, trash, junk, and or rubbish. It provides that shall include discarded, damaged, broken, or inoperable items left outdoors and visible on the premises, including but not limited to rusted automobile and or mechanical parts, machine parts, furniture, mattresses, tires, barrels, appliances, televisions, and other electronics, construction and deconstruction materials, household goods, and articles of clothing. The board felt that it would better serve the public to have a more expanded definition so that it eliminates any confusion as to what is and what's not acceptable. These amendments that have been made in this ordinance, we've run those by the legal consultant with MHAS, and they approved those as well. Of course, the statute gives the city the authority to regulate debris, trash, litter, and garbage, and there's nothing wrong with further expanding upon the definition of what that constitutes.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for, our attorney, John Meadows?
Just want to make sure, Mr. Mansell, you're good with this as well, this expanded definition?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if there's no questions for Mr. Meadows, we'll entertain a motion, and then, of course, there'll be a public hearing on it, then a second reading on it, just like any other ordinance. Okay? So, entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve, motion made by Alderman Dale. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Speck. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Ms. Phillips.
Alderman Eastern,
No.
Alderman Speck,
Yes.
Alderman Dale,
Yes.
Alderman Langford,
No.
Vice Mayor Dotson,
Yes.
motion
Motion
carries.
passed. Item number 7, hazardous mitigation plan report, flood home purchase procedures, Ms. Rebecca Clayton.
The mayor asked me to talk about the hazard mitigation grant. If we apply for it and we get it, it'd be used to purchase the properties that were involved in the flood. So I just set up a little timeline. So the first thing is we have to have a hazard mitigation plan. And right now, the county, they are adopting it as we speak. And they thought it'd be completed February next month. February 2020. So if we agree, concur with what that says, then you would adopt it, so then we'd be ready to go. But I broke it down a little bit. First thing, you would like, get the plan going, you'd have to identify the community need. That means you'd have to prove it'd be more cost effective to purchase the properties and convert it to green space, because nothing else could ever be built there, no more structures. Of course, project scoping, identify risks and problems and examine alternative solutions. Project development, look at project considerations such as cost effectiveness, environmental planning, historic preservation. And then, the sub-applicant development would be gather documentation, coordinate with the agencies, complete relevant technical studies or surveys, and identify time and cost implications. Then you apply for the grant. If you look right here, it says front-loading steps, so that's the steps you have to take before you ever even apply. It's, FEMA pays 75%, the state pays 12.5%, local government would pay 12.5%. This is the properties that would be a consideration. I don't know if you can tell where that's at, but. So if we apply and if we get it, there is, well, right here Tina said time clock starts and there's a 3-year project time frame, so it's not gonna be speedy. And then if it's be for the citizens or the owners of the property, it's strictly voluntary. The city would not allow to seize the property through eminent domain. And there's other, okay. Quit. And then, you can, and the citizens can elect to withdraw from the program at any time. The city would have to get an independent appraiser, conduct an appraisal of your property. The appraisal will be at today's current fair market value. So, there's a lot to learn, because this whole big book is a lot of paperwork to go with it. That's all I got.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Clayton? Good report, Rebecca. Thank you. Rebecca, if you hit your mic button, please. Yeah. Thank you. Item number 8 is to purchase a Chevrolet Silverado 3500 heavy duty for the water department diesel. The state bid is from Wilson County Motors at $47,320. We budgeted $82,000 for this truck and for the dump truck. So as you can see, the price at that amount, we'll still have enough money to get a dump truck too. But these are numbers that was budgeted in and approved by the board.
What's the purpose of this truck? What's it gonna be used for?
Yes, Jerry Dale here.
No.
Oh, Eric, you wanna talk about the truck, or if you can, I can.
They're gonna,
Come on up, Eric.
the truck's gonna be for the sewer department, which is part of the water. They're gonna use it to pull that new jet trailer, which carries 750 gallon water, so. They know a pretty good truck to pull it with. I ain't be able to stop it.
It's the one that, gonna replace one in Kobe Warren.
Yeah.
And,
All this truck that we
Tam.
have, yeah.
Okay, how come, right there, we got two different trucks, how come we bid one is a diesel and the other is a gas fire?
That is what the supervisors requested, to carry such a load that the sewer department will be having pulling that jet trailer.
Right, I
And
understand.
so they think that it is more powerful for that. For the gas department, on the bid that is coming up, they didn't need that much torque. They didn't have much torque, so that's the difference.
So we got money,
Yes,
make a motion to buy the truck.
motion made by Alderman Langford,
I'll second
second by Alderman Dishman. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion passed. Item number 9, 2020 Chevrolet Silverado 3500 heavy duty gas. And as Alderman Langford said, that is the difference is gas
What's
versus
it gonna be used for?
for diesel. This is gonna be is anybody from the gas department here? Come on up.
It's gonna be as a service truck, used as a service truck. We're down pretty rough on the vehicle, so, we've got one that's 20-year-old. And it's just a replacement truck for a service truck.
Just a service truck?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a flatbed truck, or how many?
Utility bed.
Utility bed.
Yeah.
It's replacing the utility bed truck.
Yeah, I think it's gonna replace one. If it's not, it'll be truck 18, which is a Ford. It's got a regular bed on it.
Thank you. Thank you. AKA Steve Smith. All right, is there any more questions? All right, need a motion.
Got money, Mayor?
Yeah, we budgeted $50,000 and the truck come in at $38,097, so, yeah. Now that is with a utility bill as well.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Alderman Chris Speck,
Second.
second by Alderman Rex Dale. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed. Item number 10 is hiring police officer, Chief Greg Etheridge.
I'm sure y'all got in your packet where we were requesting, we kind of came before you all a couple of months ago regarding the school resource officer grant. I internally moved 2 officers to the SRO part of that grant. So what we're doing is we're asking to replace those 2 officers, and through the hiring process that we've internally done at the police department, we've got 2 candidates, Mr. Josh Williams, and Mr. Dusty Klaus. That's who I'd like authorization to hire. And just as a reminder, these are replacement officers. This is not a new hires, as far as new positions adding, and we'll still be under our budget by the end of the year.
Thank you, Chief. Anybody have any questions for the chief?
Make a motion, we hire the 2 officers.
Motion made by Alderman Langford,
Second.
hire the 2 officers that are second, by Alderman Speck. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Welcome aboard, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a speech or anything you want? Okay, last item on the agenda, number 11, is the corrected budget ordinance. According to Mr. Parks, Steve Osborne sent me a follow-up email about fiscal year 20 budget ordinance that you sent them in August, I think. I had left out a $200,000 projected transfer to the street aid from general. It is attached corrected copy. I need you to add this to the next board members' agenda for approval, and it needs to be resent to the comptroller's office. So, just error, but it was corrected, and Jules took care of it, so that's all it is. But it does need to be in the budget order. It's not bad for it, so.
Motion approved.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Ken Dodson,
Second.
second by Alderman Speck. Any discussion? All in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, it passed.
On item number 5, that I voted yes, on the record, we showed that I'm gonna change it to no, and still change that, please.
All right, Mr. Bishop, I want to make sure that, the record will reflect that, item number 5, that is to appoint Ray Evans to the Property Maintenance Advisory Committee to replace Randall Officer, he voted no. All right, any other business with the city?
Motion adjourned.
Motion made by Alderman Fishman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Dale, all for the motion, let it know, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, all right, we're adjourned.